October 2022, HbA1c 47, 1 point from diabetes. 13 months later, HbA1c 37, optimal. NHS confirmed. I'm Neil. I reversed pre-diabetes without medication. I'll show you exactly how. In the next 14 minutes, what HbA1c 47 actually means, the timeline, month by month, what I changed and when. The April 2025 blood test that confirmed it. Most people get the HbA1c results and hear normal or high. Nobody explains what the number actually means. It took me years to understand this properly. HbA1c measures how much sugar has been stuck to your red blood cells over the past 2 to 3 months, not a snapshot, a rolling average. Red blood cells live about 120 days, so the sugar coating on them tells you what your blood sugar's been doing for the last quarter. Normal range 20 to 41, pre-diabetic 42 to 47, diabetic 48 and above. Mine hit 47, 1 point, one single point from a diabetes diagnosis. Here's what nobody told me at the time. HbA1c doesn't spike overnight, it creeps slowly over years. By the time you're at 47, your body's been struggling with blood sugar for a decade, probably longer. The number's the symptom, the cause, now that's where it gets interesting. I used to think calories were calories. Eat less, move more, weight comes off. Simple maths. Turns out, not simple maths. Not even close. Think of it this way. Diesel and petrol, both fuels, same energy content, roughly, but pour diesel into a petrol car and see what happens. The engine seizes. The car's ruined. Not because of the amount of fuel, because of the type. That's food. 100 calories of broccoli and 100 calories of Coca-Cola are completely different fuels. Broccoli, slow release, fibre, minimum insulin spike. Coke, blood sugar rocket, massive insulin spike, crash 90 minutes later. Fat storage is activated. Your body isn't a calculator, it's a chemistry lab. Hormones, especially insulin, decide whether these calories get burned or stored, and that's where insulin resistance comes in. Imagine knocking on your neighbour's door 40 times a day. First week, they answer. Every time. Friendly enough? By month 2, they stop answering. They've tuned you out. Can't blame them. Really? 40 knocks a day is a lot. That's insulin resistance. Every time you eat, especially processed carbs, sugar, snacking between meals, insulin knocks on your cell's door and says, let glucose in. When you eat 6 times a day, insulin's knocking constantly. Eventually, your cells stop answering. They've heard it too many times, tuned it out. So your pancreas does what any persistent neighbour would do. Knocks louder, pumps out more insulin. Cells still don't answer. Blood sugar stays elevated. The pancreas pumps out even more insulin. This goes on for years. A decade, sometimes 2. And your HbA1c, it creeps up. 38, 40, 43, 46, 47. That's what happened to me. Dr. Andrew Jenkinson explains this mechanism better than most. He talks about how high insulin blocks leptin. That's the hormone that tells your brain you're full. So not only are your cells ignoring insulin, but your brain can't see that you've got plenty of fat stored. You're carrying too much weight. And your brain thinks you're starving. You're hungry all the time, eating more, which drives more insulin, which makes the resistance worse. It's a vicious cycle. And medication? Medication manages the numbers on the blood test. It doesn't fix the cycle. Here's the bit that should concern anyone over 40. Pre-diabetes isn't a waiting room. It's a runway. More than half of people with pre-diabetes progress to type 2 diabetes. Half. And it sits underneath most metabolic problems. Weight gain that won't shift. Fatty liver. Cardiovascular risk. Constant fatigue. The standard response will keep an eye on it, manage it with medication, retest in 6 months. That's what they did with me for 10 years. Common misconception, pre-diabetes means you need to eat less and exercise more. Calories in, calories out. No! Pre-diabetes means your insulin signalling is broken. Eating less of the same rubbish doesn't fix insulin resistance. It just makes you hungry, miserable, and still insulin resistant. Imagine only ever driving in third gear. Your car works, technically, but it's loud, it's inefficient, it burns fuel fast. Metabolic flexibility means learning all 5 gears. First gear, fasted, fat burning for hills and slow crawls. 5th gear, refeed, glucose, fueled for motorway cruising. Most people are stuck in third, constant eating, redlining the engine all day, every day. Fasting teaches you the gearbox. First month, it feels clunky. You're grinding gears, stalling at roundabouts. Month 3, you shift without thinking. That's what fixed my insulin resistance, not a diet, not medication, learning to use the gearbox. Here's what most people won't show you, the full timeline. 10 years of blood tests, medication phase and lifestyle phase, side by side. April 2012, my cholesterol was 7.5. Abnormal, triglycerides 3.4, outside the reference range, already on statins, alpurinol for gout, daily asthma inhalers, and my weight at the time was about 14 stone. The numbers showed a system in decline, but I wasn't connecting the dots. The GP said, take the pills, so I took the pills. September 2015, my GP's notes on the blood test request, and I've seen these notes, read weight gain, tired plus weight gain, repeated twice. That's how obvious it was. Acute kidney injury warning stage, flagged. HbA1c, 38, still normal, just tired plus. Wasn't fatigue, that was metabolic overload, screaming at me. I didn't hear it. October 2016, HbA1c hit 40, borderline pre-diabetic, on statins, on alpurinol, doing everything the system told me to do. December 2016, cholesterol 7, triglycerides 1.8, still abnormal despite medication. This was the trajectory, medicated, compliant, still sliding. August 2020, mid-pandemic, HbA1c now 43.2, cholesterol 7.3, triglycerides 2.5, urate 502, all flagged. 8 years on statin, 20 years on alpurinol, and blood work still abnormal. At some point you have to ask, is the medication the solution? Or is it just maintaining the problem? That's not a rhetorical question, by the way. I genuinely didn't know the answer. It took me 3 more years to figure it out. December 14th, 2023, HbA1c 46, pre-diabetic, cholesterol 8, triglycerides 2.6, weight was now 18 stone. 11 days before Boxing Day. This was the start of the cliff edge. 1 more point on HbA1c and I'd be diabetic. On 6 medications and doing everything I'd been told to do. And I was still heading for a diabetes diagnosis. 12 days later, Boxing Day, I looked in the mirror and said, this ends now. Boxing Day 2023, quite simply, I stopped eating. I'd had enough. I looked at the scales, I looked in the mirror and I'd had enough. And I stopped eating, and I stopped eating for 10 full days. When I started eating again, I started eating with an eating window of 16-8. So 16 hours of not eating and 8 hours of eating. And I've got to say, that did feel natural. It didn't force it. And my body did adapt. At the same time, I started cutting out ultra-processed foods. Not overnight, it was gradual, but I swapped a lot of the obvious stuff. So I got rid of the fluorescent cereals and started eating whole foods, cooking a lot more veg to go along with. I'm a meat eater with meats and fish that I was eating. Probably around 80-85% real food and 15-20% was flexible. I know that all the studies show 10%. I've never really got it past 15%. And that's what we call the 10% rule, but in my case is certainly 15%. It's not perfection, it's sustainability. February 2024, I came off all my medications. Statins, ezetimibe, alpurinol, asthma inhalers, citrazine. My GP, over the next couple of months, monitored my bloods. Wasn't reckless, it was strategic. First blood test off all medication, which was 3 months later, Cholesterol was 7, down from 8. Triglycerides 2.3, down from 2.6. Liver enzymes were normal. My kidney functions were excellent. 3 months. No statins, no alpurinol, no inhalers. Biomarkers were improved. Not perfect, but trending the right way. My body was starting to repair itself. My GP looked at the results, paused and said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. There was no lecture, no concern, just validation. My HbA1c, 37, optimal, NHS confirmed, down from 47 in October 2022, a 21% reduction, 16 months off all medication. Here's what that means in real terms. The evidence log data shows my HbA1c deteriorated by roughly 1.2% per year during the medication phase. 8 years of slow medicated decline, then reversed by 19.6% in 14 months with lifestyle changes alone. The reversal happened 16 times faster than the medication phase progression. 16 times faster. Without a single tablet, it wasn't smooth. I'm not going to pretend it was. First 6 weeks, sleep was rough. 4 to 5 hours for most of the time when you look at the data. And it's your body adapting and the adaptation period. It takes time. My triglycerides in April 2025, 4.3, were elevated. Context matters. I'm 16 months off statins. My inflammation is down 84% and my GP isn't concerned. But the number's not ideal. I track everything. Some markers improve fast. Others, they take longer. This isn't a fairy tale. It's data. And data has wobbles. Mine certainly does. The practical bit. What can you actually do with this information? Well, you could ask your GP for a HbA1c test. Chances are you've had several and they're already in your medical history. It costs the NHS literally nothing. Takes a minute. And if you're over 40 and haven't had one recently, do get one. That's your baseline. You can't track your progress if you don't know where you're starting. If your HbA1c is already flagged or you're worried, ask for quarterly tests every 3 months. Track the trend, not individual readings. Before fasting, before anything else, switch to whole foods, real food. Things your grandmother would recognise. If the ingredients list like a chemistry set, put it back on the shelf. Use the 10 to 15% rule. 85-90% of what you eat is real food. 10-15% flexibility for life. Make it sustainable. A biscuit at your mate's house, a takeaway on Friday. Not perfection, sustainability. This alone will start lowering insulin and improving your blood sugar. Start here. This is the foundation that makes everything else stick. Without it, fasting benefits don't last. You'll lose weight, regain it, lose it again. Sound familiar? Fix the food. Make the benefits permanent. Once the food's sorted, give it 2 to 4 weeks with, if you've never fasted at all, maybe a 12-12. 12 hours eating, 12 hours fasted. Most people can do that by just not stacking after dinner. Then tighten it. 14-10, 16-8. And then if 16-8 feels really comfortable, maybe move it down further if you want. I actually find my average is 17-7. Don't rush. Your body's learning the gearbox. Give it time. If your HbA1c is already a concern, 42 and above, and you've got the foundation of whole food in place, consider longer fasts, 72 hours or more, can accelerate the insulin sensitivity recovery. But only when that food foundation underneath it is good. Otherwise, you fast, you refeed on processed foods, and you're back to square one. Longer fasts without fixing food quality is like servicing the engine and then pouring diesel in a petrol car. It's pointless. Check fasting glucose weekly, your waist measurements weekly, HbA1c quarterly, maybe 6 months. Watch the trend. My numbers didn't move dramatically for 3 months. The real change actually showed at month 6 and significant reversal was at month 13. It's not a 3-week fix. It's 3 months, 6 months longer. Judge it at 90 days, not day 10. First 2 weeks, adaptation, hunger signals changing, energy goes up and down, it's normal. Weeks 3 to 4, your metabolic switching starts. Energy stabilises. Month 3, blood test time. First real data point. Month 6, a meaningful comparison. This is where your trends start to emerge. Month 12, 13, that's where I saw full reversal. HbA1c 47 to 37. Your results, I'm sure, will be different. If you're on medication, especially diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, speak to your GP first. Fasting changes your medication needs. Dosing might need adjusting. Don't just stop your tablets. Red flags during fasting: dizziness that doesn't pass, chest pains, severe headaches, confusion. Break the fast. See your GP if you have a history of eating disorders. Fasting may not be appropriate. If you want a structured starting point, I've built a 14-day rhythm reset guide. It covers fasting windows, real food swaps, what to track and when to test. It's free and the link is in the description. And please remember, I've gone from pre-diabetic to normal over 13 months. The NHS has confirmed it, not because of a miracle supplement, not because of a drug, because I stopped pouring diesel into a petrol engine. I gave my cells some silence and learned to use the gearbox. If your HbA1c is creeping up and you're wondering whether medication is the only answer, it wasn't for me. Get your numbers, fix your food, and give it time.